Well, here we are again, a new Pikmin game looming over our heads and we barely know anything about it. My favourite season, Pikmin season. So, with Pikmin 3DS out in the open, I say let's start up our old habits again and begin another line of speculation videos on the game. See look, I even have a playlist all ready to be filled. What's up guys, it's Daz here, but you don't really care. So starting off, at this point in time, the only information on Pikmin 3DS we have is the announcement trailer showing off the gameplay. So, where do we start? Well, I'll stop rambling and just jump right onto the subject of this video. Where in the timeline is Pikmin 3DS? This, I guess, will be more of a hybrid between a theory and speculation video, which I'm sure you guys won't really object to. But looking at the little gameplay we have, we can see that there is a chance that we can pinpoint this game's location, with a surprising amount of evidence too. We may also end up by the end of this video creating our own theory for the plotline. It comes with the whole timeline theory. First of all, let's look through the whole storyline of Pikmin as we know so far. We're especially going to add emphasis on Olimar, as I think this game will remain simplistic, and will only show Olimar on his journey. By the way, obviously because we're going over the whole story, spoilers for Pikmin 1, Pikmin 2, and Pikmin 3. But if you're here for speculation on new Pikmin games, I would expect you know all this already. So, Olimar is flying in his spaceship, the SS Dolphin, home after an intergalactic vacation, when he's hit by a meteor and lands on what is later known as the Pikmin planet. There he successfully escapes after befriending the Pikmin and using their abilities to repair his ship. Originally, he only meets the red, yellow and blue variety. Upon coming home, he realizes that his boss has accrued a massive debt on the company, to the point where Olimar's ship has to be taken away. And so he must now return to the Pikmin planet to find valuables which can help his boss clear the debt. This time coming with companion Louie, Olimar discovers the original Pikmin once more, along with the new purple and white Pikmin. Many treasures later, and Olimar and Louie return home once more. Wait, okay, now they return to the planet once more. At this point, it becomes somewhat unclear exactly what happens to Olimar. However, sometime later, 3 intrepid explorers find Olimar's second ship, as well as companion Louie, on the Pikmin planet. So at some point, the two return to the Pikmin planet, known now as PNF 404. Through data files, we learn that the boss once again got them all in debt, and so they had to return to gather even more treasure. Unfortunately, they landed near the quaggled Myoclops, which destroyed the ship and left the two stranded on the planet. Despite this, Olimar continued his search, even becoming obsessed with it, to the point of considering taking a piece of gold for himself. After exploring all the new areas as found in Pikmin 3, Olimar reaches the formidable oak where he confronts something gold at the top of the tower. The gold turns out to be a living creature, the Plasm Wraith, which obsesses over Olimar and refuses to let him leave, activating his auto-sleep function in his suit whenever he tries. It's not until the 3 intrepid explorers and Louie, I guess, come to his rescue that Olimar finally leaves the planet for the 3rd time, though the weight of the debt still lingers over him. And that is as far as we know. Now that I've laid it out, it's quite a lot, huh? Either way, there are 2 points in the timeline for which I think this game could take place, assuming this whole thing isn't some kind of non-canonical alternate reality, like that time where Olimar fought a giant robot and a bunch of other Nintendo characters, and then came back for more. So first of all, I think that despite the fact that we only see the basic Pikmin setup in gameplay, that being just Olimar as a character and just the red, yellow and blue Pikmin, this game does not take place early on in the timeline. Nowhere near Pikmin 1 in fact. The main reason for this is because of the fact we see the puckering Blinnow. These were creatures that didn't make an appearance until Pikmin 3. And it's clear that the Pikmin planet took some dramatic changes between the 1st and 3rd game. I mean, the entire geology of the planet moved. So I think that early in the timeline, the puckering Blinnow didn't exist as they wouldn't have evolved into their form yet. Of course, this assumes that the creatures do evolve. I don't think we've seen a specific example of that being confirmed yet, but there are some suspicions. The creatures from each game also do seem to change quite dramatically for the most part each time. This idea also suggests that Pikmin 3 doesn't quite take place close to Pikmin 2. This can also be seen by how we're seeing new enemies in this game, which surely would have appeared before if we were earlier in the timeline, right? No, instead it all goes back to Pikmin 3. But here's the thing, there are 2 possible places for this game to fit, but I'll go over them both anyway, they both have a little bit of evidence. The first one is that this game takes place during, if not just before, Pikmin 3. At this point, the 3 intrepid explorers are either about to or are searching through the planet bit by bit. Meanwhile, Olimar and Louie are off adventuring as well. Now this begs the question, where is Louie? Well, there's 2 possible answers here. One is Louie does appear in the game, but just hasn't been shown yet, and the other is that the 2 have gone their separate ways, which is equally possible. The only flaw in this idea is the fact that the hidden data files from Pikmin 3 shows Olimar and Louie somewhat in the same area. though they are separated and in different sections, so maybe this does work. But this theory also begs the question, where are the rock and flying Pikmin from Pikmin 3? Well, actually, Olimar and Louie are never visually shown to have possession of the new Pikmin. In fact, in the background of Olimar's logs, we can even see the area hasn't been fully explored and unlocked, and it is in fact the intrepid explorers who do so. But on top of that, look at the Pikmin Olimar and Louie do have. They are only red, yellow or blue, and only coming in small doses. Sound familiar at all? This is likely because they don't have possession of the onions or their ship at this point in the timeline. But the biggest point that supports the idea of this taking place while Olimar is lost on the planet is through the common collectible, gold. The one thing that Olimar seems to obsess over, and even directly mentions it in one of the data files found in Pikmin 3. And think of what happens next. Olimar follows a long trail of gold only to find one last glimmer up at the top of some tower, only to find it's the Plasm Wraith, and from there we can fill in the gaps of what exactly happens next. Except, there's a couple of issues. Sure, the idea of this game taking place during Pikmin 3 does have some supporting evidence, but it's not what I think, personally, is the case, because of a few unexplained things in this new game. What about Olimar's new technology? The trailer begins with Olimar coming out of a ship, which shouldn't be possible as nothing of the sort appears in Pikmin 3. And what about Olimar's jetpack? Unless his backpack could always transform into one at any time, I think I would have noticed if he was wearing one by now, especially in Pikmin 3, since we're practically in his face. No, for these extra bouts of technology to logically exist, this game must take place after Pikmin 3. And that makes sense. Olimar has some unfinished business to take care of. 2 in fact. First of all, he still has the debt lingering over him as he never successfully paid off the second one. And also, what about Louie? At the end of Pikmin 3, he bails out of the ship and crashes down onto the planet once more. Olimar still has his co-worker to look out for. So what does this mean for Pikmin 3? Well, first of all, Nintendo has full access to have fun with their creativity, as they can create whatever they want without having to chain themselves down to the aesthetic of a previous game. If they want to create an entirely new creature, they can. It won't mess with the timeline. On top of that, they have the option to use any of the previous Pikmin and mechanics if they wish to. After all, from Louie's falling scene, we see both rock and flying Pikmin running towards him. Purples and whites are also confirmed to exist during this point in the timeline still, so they are still an option. But again, Nintendo may wish to keep things simple and simply stick to just Olimar and the primary colours for new audiences. In fact, if Louie is lost somewhere during this game, then that could even explain the single most hated line from the announcement trailer.
Or carrying treasure while heading for the goal.
To reach the goal. What if the entire aim of the game is to hit 2 birds with 1 stone? The main story goal is to reach the end of the level, in the hopes of eventually coming to a fallen Louie, whilst the optional 100% goal is to collect enough treasure to pay off the second debt at the same time. In fact, to me, that makes perfect sense and would be a great plot for a portable Pikmin game. And who's to say that Louie will even be up for being rescued? For all we know, he may have a Pikmin army of his own to use against us. Perhaps they can even be the appearance of the rock and flying Pikmin. After all, we know for a fact they're heading towards him. Still, neither of these theories quite address why the Bulbulbs are so big, but maybe that'll just have to come in a different video somehow. Or we'll just put it down to evolution over time, as this game likely occurs at the latest point in the timeline so far. Right, that was nostalgic, but on that note, I'm gonna end it off here. Maybe next time we'll talk about some puzzle ideas or something. For now, be sure to check out my Twitter for any updates, and otherwise, mine has been Daz. You don't really care, and I'll see you in a bit.